So we talk a lot about spending money on ads on social media and things to boost your product, boost your music, or whatever it may be. But is it worth paying money for local radio ads?
Could be. It really does depend. So radio ads are older in terms of technology and reach these days too. There's not as many people are on, listening to radio as would be on Facebook or Instagram. But what I added in as like an extra ad, it would depend on the product. I don't know about too many music ads I'd do it for. Maybe if you had a concert, if you had enough traction behind you, and you had a concert coming out and you knew that you are just like a strictly country music artist and here's the country music station, yeah, it can help.
Okay.
Because they're going to try to have competitive pricing.
Facts.
And we were talking about on a previous episode the pricing difference between even doing like TikTok influencer promotion, which we have out now, so you guys can go check that out on MrMC.com. You can get your music on a bunch of TikTok influencer channels.
Let's go.
Or doing Facebook ads. And sometimes it's going to turn out that it's a lot cheaper to go the influencer route than the Facebook ads. Now, it might not be as targeted or as structured, but it still might end out cheaper overall.
Right.
So when it comes to like trying to do Facebook ads versus local music radio ads, you might find that you're getting a cheaper rate at the local music radio station.
Yeah.
So I, just like we say with a bunch of advertising stuff, test it out, see the results it brings. I tested in isolation though, personally.
Okay.
So if you did Facebook ads for one city and you just want to test out the local ads, I would test those and see the difference in the crowd size and how many tickets you sold, because you want to. Those are harder to track.
Yeah.
When you do TV ads or radio ads, it's the tracking isn't like you can't see how many conversions this ad and this ad set got you and all that stuff. So that's how you can control that test.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean people still listen to the radio, or you can apply that to podcasts nowadays too.
Yeah.
So people do podcast ads, which is like the new radio, right? And then playlists are the songs, and you got your podcast, which is the talk radio.
Right.
So if somebody's like a big, stick with the country music thing, somebody's a big country music star, they have a big like country music listeners podcast or something around like that subject that those fans would like.
Yeah.
It's not so much local, because anybody can listen to the podcast from anywhere.
Yeah.
But that's another way to get an alternative ad type like into your system there. So we were looking at podcast ads for some other podcasts, but there's not like huge music marketing podcasts. There's some like different channels or whatever, but the podcast area is still like growing in this sector. There's a lot of marketing podcasts, or like finance podcasts and all that sort of deal, but with music, there's not as many music marketing podcasts. So that's why, at least right now, as of today, we don't have any podcast ads running besides on our own. And we obviously have like the YouTube channel and all that stuff, which you can do YouTube ads for. But just throwing in like those extra, because the question essentially the question is alternative ad types.
Yeah.
Like which alternative ad type should I do? You should test them all.
Okay.
So if you find a podcast that makes sense, like test it.
Yeah.
But you have to have a different type of control.
Yeah.
So that you can get accurate metrics.
It's so funny that radio has been categorized as the alternative ad type nowadays. It's no longer the primary, it's alternative. So, I mean, it kind of answers the other question I was going to ask you. If you had to choose between where to allot most of your budget, you're a hip hop artist in Atlanta, you either giving it to Rap Caviar or Hot 107.9. Which one are you going for?
You can't give it to Rap Caviar.
I know. But if you could,
hypothetically, you're saying they both have the equal audience?
Do they?
Probably not. So I would guess.
Well, in Atlanta, yeah, and there the opportunity at 107 point. There might be a lot more opportunity.
Yeah,
Hot 107.9.
Because Hot 107.9 can bring you on.
Oh yes, sir.
For a talk
booking
show,
for
booking for
venues, all.
And then what they do nowadays too, sometimes they have like a dual thing where somebody's on the radio and they have their podcast, so you're getting like double impression. So like Dave Ramsey show is one that is top of mind. He has both his podcast and the radio show. It's just syndicated.
Oh wow, okay.
So you can get double impressions that way. Yeah, I mean, it might make more sense with the local station. As long
in this scenario,
you have to look at what else they're doing. So if they're just stuck to their old ways and like, we're only going to do this radio show, we're not going to do any podcasts, and we're not going to try to have a good social media page, and well, then they're going to die out soon. For sure. So I wouldn't focus too much on the people who don't want to adapt. Mm-hmm. But if somebody's like, they got all their other stuff going on too, and they also have their audience on radio, and some people still listen to their radio station.
Yeah.
Sure. Mm-hmm. It's wherever the eyeballs are.
Yeah.
Like Facebook just has the eyeballs. That's why we talk about Facebook a lot. There's a bunch of other social medias.
Yeah.
Don't have as many eyeballs.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's why Facebook's usually the easiest one in terms of like reach and tracking and all that stuff, just because they have the most eyeballs right now.
Yeah.
That could change. Just like MySpace had the most eyeballs. That could change.
Yep,
it's just follow the eyeballs. Mm-hmm. That's when people were advertising on TV, just because that's where all the eyeballs were.
Yeah.
And then more people started to spend time on their phones, so that's where the eyeballs shifted. That's all you're following for advertising. So if everything else is constant and you're not going into some dark web stuff to advertise, like it's all fair game.
Yeah, good.